its proactive role in providing capacity building to member states at the continental level and advocating for fair and equitable international tax rules at the global level. The ongoing work on the United Nations Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation is a critical step towards eliminating base erosion and profit shifting, thus protecting our national revenues. However, domestic efforts alone will not suffice. It is projected that African countries need to increase their median tax to GDP ratios by about 13.2 percentage points to 27.2% of GDP to be able to close the financing gap by 2030. This highlights the need for additional innovative financial resources and reform of the global financial architecture to ensure equitable and inclusive distribution of resources.
And that was President John Dramani Mahama. Still in government, Majority Leader of Parliament Mahama Ayariga has announced that the new date for the 2025 budget is Tuesday, March 11, 2025. Speaking at Parliament on Friday, the Majority Leader said this new date was chosen in consultation with the Minister of Finance, Kisel Atufosin. He also added that the State of the Nation address by President Mahama is expected to be presented on February 27, according to communication from the Office of the President.
Finance has indicated that he would want to present the budget either on the 10th or 11th, but I told him the 10th is a Monday, and since we don't sit on Mondays, 11 March is a more appropriate date for him to present the budget. So 11 March is the date that the minister proposes to bring the budget to us for consideration. The Office of the President has also communicated that the State of the Nation address, if we are available as a House, can be presented on the 27th of February. On the 27th of February. So that is the provisional date that is the Office of the President has communicated to us regarding the presentation of the State of the Nation by His Excellency the President.
And that was the Majority Leader of Parliament, Mahama Ayariga. The National Service Authority has released PIN codes for the 2025-2026 academic year for trained teachers from 24 colleges of education across the country to enable them to register for the 2025-2026 National Service year. In a statement released on Friday, February 14, and signed by the Director General Felix Jimfi, the authority made this directive known to the general public. Let me take you through excerpt of the statement. The National Service Authority has released PIN codes for 9,082 trained teachers from 24 colleges of education across the country to begin the registration process for the 2025-2026 National Service year. It must be noted that a total of 16,159 trained teachers were submitted by the 36 colleges of education for upload into the NSA system for national service. However, 7,077 trained teachers are yet to be uploaded as their respective institutions have not provided the required cover letters. As a result, their details cannot be processed by the authority. Furthermore, out of the 9,082 successfully uploaded trained teachers, a total of 5,336 students come from institutions with expired accreditation, leaving only 3,746 students from institutions with active accreditation as recognized by the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. This means that out of the 36 colleges of education, only 14 institutions currently hold active accreditation with the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, whereas 22 institutions have their accreditation expired. In line with NSA's commitment to compliance and transparency, registrations prospective personnel from institutions with expired accreditation will have their registrations put on hold until their accreditation status with GTEC is regularized before they are posted for national service. The authority therefore urges affected colleges of education to engage the DTEC promptly to renew their accreditation status to facilitate PIN code activation and registration for their students. A detailed list of the affected colleges of education is provided in Appendix A. Colleges of education with the current accreditation are also outlined in Appendix B for the information of the public. Away from that, the Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation, Samuel Nate George, has initiated strategic human resource restructuring at the ministry. In an official statement, it is indicated that the restructuring is in alignment with the vision of President Mahama to reset the country. Samuel George has expressed gratitude to all staff and wished them success in their future endeavors. Let me take you through excerpt of the statement. In alignment with the President's vision to reset Ghana's governance framework, the Honorable Minister for Communications, Digital Technology and Innovation has initiated a strategic human resource restructuring of the ministry, its agencies and associated programs. As part of this process, the Minister previously requested the CVs of all directors and senior management staff, signaling an impending realignment aimed at optimizing efficiency and effectiveness within the ministry and its affiliated agencies. The initial phase of this restructuring has been implemented, impacting the National Communications Authority and the Ghana Digital Acceleration Program in collaboration with the World Bank. Additional changes across the ministry and its agencies are expected in the coming weeks. The Minister expresses gratitude to all staff for their dedication and service to the nation and extends best wishes for their continued and future professional endeavors. In business, economic analyst at Zed, Emmanuel Boateng, has noted that gold remains a strong global asset, with prices surging independent of local economic conditions. Speaking on the business Breakfast on Zed, Mr. Boateng explained that Ghana's inflation is largely influenced by food prices and domestic economic policies, which do not necessarily impact gold prices. He noted that gold's value is driven by international market dynamics, making it a solid investment choice.
We are susceptible to global events. Gold prices. Gold is one of the things we export, right? We looked at it 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now, gold prices surged globally from $2,694.95 per ounce in November 2024 to $2,874.65 per ounce, February 2025. Now, however, our domestic inflation in Ghana is driven more by what? Food prices. I'm sure you are aware of that. Fuel prices and local economic policies, which do not always align with gold price movement. And so on the global front, there is one thing happening, which is a surge in gold prices. On the domestic side, we see food prices increasing. We see fuel prices increasing. We see local economic policies playing out in determining our inflation rate. And this does not always align proportionately with the proportionate change in the gold price. And so you see the mismatch, and that causes the lag that you are talking about.
Mr. Boateng also referenced a World Bank financial review on Ghana's public finances, which revealed the country's economic susceptibility to global events.
The World Bank released a financial review of Ghana. The topic was building the foundation for a resilient and equitable fiscal policy in Ghana. It is a 2024 report on Ghana's public finances, highlighting critical aspects of our fiscal policy, including rapid GDP growth, which was fueled by 1, debt, 2, declining domestic revenue mobilization, 3, inefficient public expenditure, the need for structural reform. The underlying factor is that Ghana's growth is susceptible to global events, global oil prices and what have you. And when you look at it, it's saying that our growth was fueled by oil prices or revenue from oil. Is that okay? Oil revenue than from other things.
And that was economic analyst at Zed, Emmanuel Boateng. Now moving to the international scene, the The Ukrainian government has indicated that Kyiv has not been invited to crucial negotiations between the United States and Russia aimed at ending the conflict. The meeting, which was set to take place in Saudi Arabia, was initially expected to include Ukrainian representatives. However, the government has confirmed that no delegation from Kyiv would be present, despite earlier statements from U.S. Special Envoy to Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, stating that there would be representatives. The European leaders have also been left out of the negotiations. The exclusion of European nations has raised concerns that they are being sidelined in discussions about the region's future. Some officials joining Witkoff in these high-stakes discussions are U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and National Secretary Advisor Mike Waltz. The meeting with Russian negotiators comes after a significant conversation between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, marking the end of a 3-year freeze on direct communication between Washington and Moscow. A recap of the headlines, our top stories for today. President Mahama encourages tax compliance among African countries. Also still in government, Majority Leader announces new dates for 2025 budget and State of the Nation address. And on the international scene, Ukraine excluded from key U.S.-Russia peace talks in Saudi Arabia. And that will be all for News at 6 on Zed 101.9 FM. You can visit www.zedmultimedia.com for more. I am Samila Ainchi. Thanks for listening. And up next is the Business Breakfast on Zed. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to Zed 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
We thank Thee each morning for a newborn day, where we may work the fields of new mown hay. We thank Thee for the sunshine and the air that we breathe, O Lord. We thank Thee. Thank Thee for the rivers that run all day. Thank Thee for the little birds that sing along the way. Thank Thee for the trees and the deep blue sea, O Lord, we thank Thee.
Life doesn't always make sense. Sometimes what we see around us looks nothing like what we hope for. The doors we expected to open remain shut. The prayers we've prayed seem unanswered, and the path ahead looks uncertain. But this is where faith comes in. Faith is believing beyond what your eyes can see. It is trusting that even when things don't look promising, God is still working behind the scenes. The Bible reminds us, for we walk by faith, not by sight. This means we don't rely on what we see. We rely on who God is. Faithful, powerful, and always in control. Walking by faith leads to fear, doubt, and discouragement. But walking by faith leads to peace, strength, and victory. Abraham didn't see the promised land when God called him, but he stepped out in faith. Peter didn't see a solid path on water, but he walked on Jesus' word. Your breakthrough is not in what you see now, but it's in what you believe God can do. So don't let temporary struggles shake your faith. Keep trusting, keep moving, and keep believing. God is leading you to something greater. Even when you don't see the way, trust the one who does. Walk by faith. A miracle is ahead.
Of the moon, we thank thee every day as we kneel and pray that we were born with eyes to see these things. Yes, we thank thee for the fields where the clover is grown. Thank thee for the pastures where cattle may roam. Thank thee for thy love so pure and so free, O Lord. We thank thee.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
You're tuned in to Zed 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM. Zed 101.9 FM.
Good morning, Ghana. It's a brand new day and a brand new week. Welcome to your most authoritative business morning show on the blog, Business Breakfast on Zed. As always, I am Nichebi Hammond. Thank you very much for choosing us this morning. I'm happy to drive you from now till 10 a.m., bringing you all the fresh insights and relevant conversations to get you started for a great week. Please stick and stay with me. This is Zed 101.9 FM, your go-to station for business, lifestyle, and leisure. We're live on our Facebook platforms at ZFMGH and on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Please do well to like, subscribe, and share. It's a brand new week. Let's do this for God and country.
Every time is worship time. Just open up your spirit and let's bless the name of the Lord in here. Guarantee no man, near what be rich to me. Not near only women. Oh, man, I'm wanting the soul. And runs him pobro. Now, all my power, and what was she say? I see someone achieve. That's all I would take. Every day I need. Oh, I'm wanting for world. All the time and percent. I know my for the eye. Oh, to be regarded. Now, power. Oh, I'm see ya, I'm ready. Here at the arm of my Lord. Now, deep on this year. Wash the misery, nigga, catabo. Oh, did it pass him up, no, mama. No, mama, no, mama, shamo. Just in my time for a new Jesus. Hey, Timmy Ram, it's here, see. Will you not see? Will you not see? I'm not a shadow of the wind. Hey, I'm the shadow of the wind. Hey, will you not see? I'm not tonight. No matter me, God, so you will say, will you mind? I can see it. Sing along. Will you mind? Only come to be to meet tears here. Now me to resign, yeah, for time, Jesus. Me to get me to Rodom. You know why? Jesus, I saw Sydney, oh, we are said this is a word. Ain't here, I come away. What you meant to I like you boom, and if I'm mine to where we are getting. I saw you say a dear. Every single mommy can wreck your knee. Every finish soon for the video. Can you make some noise? And I'm Can you join me singing? Ejawutina, sit down, let's go down the list. Ejawutina, sit down. Hey, Otumpo. Wutina Shiraka. Wutina Tuntamuka. Wutina Sidaka. Jesus, Jama Kuma Sua Sampa. Now me telling you, mommy, to that they that wait upon you, they will never be ashamed. Never. Me money so accurate. I'm not saying that. The whole world will see Jesus.
Well, good morning one more time. This is Zed 101.9 FM. And welcome to the Business Breakfast on Zed. Well, the song in the background is Macheng by Kofi Owusu Pepra. That's the son of the one who composed the original one, Reverend George Owusu Mensah, the late Reverend George Owusu Mensah. Now, this morning, what we are saying is that they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. And so as you go about your day, rely on the strength of the Lord. Make sure that you're waiting on Jesus. Even when it looks like things are not happening as you want, just make sure that you're waiting. And also, waiting time is not wasting time. So make sure that you're waiting and you don't think that you're wasting your time. So just go about your day knowing very well that things are going to happen. Things are going to work together for your good. And keep waiting on the Lord, even when it doesn't look like it is. Well, thank you very much for staying with me. Let me run you through what we've got packed for you this morning. Well, of course, we'll start with our news review segment here on the Business Breakfast on Zed. And then right after that, Samuela Inchi will come your way with business news. Then Lukman Evergreen Mumin will take over with Sports Flash. Then there'll be a quick music break. And then when we return, I'll give you Business Brief, where I'll be sharing something very practical with you. Then up next will be Transport Today. Then we head straight into market trends. Then, of course, we'll wrap up things with a roundtable discussion. So stay with me. It's going to be an exciting morning here on Z101.9 FM, your go-to station for business, lifestyle, and leisure. Let's get started.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
Well, thank you very much for staying with me this morning on the Business Breakfast on Zed. Now, time for news review, and this morning I'm going to run you through a few of the headlines, and then we get to break them down. So, Ghana government on My Joy Online, Ghana government to pay cocoa farmers 70% of world market price, and also no official implicated in corruption would escape regardless of their whereabouts. That's coming from Asiedu Inketia. And also oral NPP's disconnection from public sentiment is dangerous, and that comes from Bright Simont. And treat oral as a matter of policy, not just rhetoric. That's coming also from Bright Simont. And Kwame Ntoamwa appointed acting CEO of GNPC. And Ghana Global oil drops, but CD depreciation keeps fuel prices high. And blame IGP REG SEC for security breaches in rerun of Council of State election. And also on City Newsroom, it says that T-bill auction, government rejects over 8 billion bids. And also Cocoa Board denies cocoa price hike, warns against misinformation. Mahama rules out immediate IMF extension, prioritizes fiscal stability. And Cosmos Energy Ghana donates clinic to Senior High School. And IMF staff ends Ghana visits, credit facility expected in April 2025. Standard Chartered delights clients with this tasty Valentine's Day treat. And importers abandon Nigerian ports, turn to Ghana and Togo amid rising charges. And also on the Ghana News Agency, it says U.S. aid withdrawal. Mama urges African country to be self-reliant. And also President Mahama holds bilateral discussions. AU call for justice. And Health Minister pays visit to Swedru Government Hospital to assess cholera situation. We have been fair to Ken Oforiatta coming from the OSP. And Djibouti's Foreign Minister elected as chairperson of African Union Commission. And World Bank advocates pro-poor fiscal adjustments. Minister of Communications inaugurates Interagency Data Pricing Committee. And MOH Ghana Health Service launched cholera vaccination campaign to keep spread. Ghana National Fire Service, North Dakota National Guard trained personnel to manage hazardous materials. And there is no security threat in Bono region now. That is coming from the regional minister. And on the international front, on BBC, it says that Prime Minister ready to put troops on ground in Ukraine to protect peace. And also Netanyahu praises Trump's bold vision for Gaza at a Rubio meeting. And also, can Europe conjure a united front on Ukraine's future? Illegal and unseen. 9 surprising facts about. Okay, well, let's move away from that. I have joining me over the phone lines Abel and Soliwin Amodiok, who's going to help me break down some of these headlines. Abel, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Intrevi.
We are back again.
I'm doing well. Yes, we are back again. Another brilliant and brightening week.
Exactly.
And good morning to our cherished listeners.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the headlines. I've read a few of them. I just want us to start from the one on the oral. So that's on My Joy Online. It says that treat oral as a matter of policy, not just a rhetoric, and that is coming from Bright Simmons. What are your thoughts on that? People have raised concerns about oral being just something that has been more like a slogan, than something that is backed by policy. What are your thoughts on that?
The question we should be asking, what's a policy? What's a policy? Because, sometimes, I don't know, social commentators, policy analysts on TV and radio want to create an impression that government does not know what it is doing. Policy simply defined as actions of government. So if at a particular point in time, that government decides that this is what we are going to do, in itself it's a policy. Unless you are asking for clear measures, right? Because you want it to be, like I listened to him during the weekend where he said it should become part of the architecture of governance, with proper framework and all that. And if you follow the weekend shows, I think the Deputy Attorney General designate, Dr. Sremsai, made that particular point, that in the NDC manifesto, which is a social contract between the NDC and the people of Ghana in opposition and now in power, clearly they outlined that, and that the committee that has been set up is the first stage of the policy Operation Recover All Loot.
Right.
So now they've gathered initial complaints and reports, and they have submitted them to the Attorney General to work on. Then the other aspect of the policy will be rolled out as the government continues. So for me, not in a hurry to comment, but government definitely knows what it's doing, and it is for us as citizens and individuals to maybe suggest ways and means in which the government can make this a success. And so for me, I have no doubt that Operation Recover All Loot in itself is a policy, and government has a strategic framework to implement it. What we can do, like I said, is to make suggestions. Maybe we think that certain things are being done and it will not help the policy achieve its goals. But if you even do further analysis and link it, for example, how do you recover loot or illegal possession of state resources, and in most cases, some of the lands, for example. And if you have to go through the normal court system, which can delay for several years, among others. So some people have suggested, and rightly so. I hear the Deputy Attorney General designate to make the same point again, that policies like, it's not even policies, but bringing or reactivating the regional tribunals in the Constitution is one way to achieve that. Because not that the regional tribunals are going to take the places of the court or going to replace the court, but it's a more efficient way, and it's going to supplement the work of the courts, of course, but it's more efficient way to go after some of these things. And once they are properly structured through a bill that will be presented to Parliament, and everybody knows the operations of the regional tribunals, not going to infringe upon the rights and dignity of people. But of course, the main functions are going to clearly be outlined, and it will be in tandem with the Constitution. Of course, the regional tribunals are constitutional creation themselves. So it's just about activating them to serve the purpose for which they were initially taught and placed in our Constitution. So, Operation Recover All Loot, we must understand, it's a policy. When somebody says the government should consider it, making it a policy, I don't know what it means, but it is a policy. Government has begun with measures on how to go about its implementation. We can suggest further measures if we think that what so far has been acted on by and is not yielding the required results.
Right. I think you make very good points there. Now, also, there's been recent issues of misinformation. Now, over the weekend, I think I had seen that the Honorable Sami Jemfi had been accused of purchasing certain furniture and refrigerator into his office with something a little over 170,000 Ghana cedis. And he came to speak against it. And also, the Cocoa Board CEO has also denied, Cocoa Board has also denied cocoa price hike and also is warning against misinformation. I think that's a very key issue we need to really pay attention to. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, misinformation is just, it's dangerous to every society. It can cause or can lead to violence, can lead to chaos. In fact, if not treated well, can lead to civil unrest because people might not have the opportunity to do verification of some of these news items or misinformation. Let me put it that way, that are put into the public domain. And often, by the time you get to verify how authentic this is, it would have taken hours, in some cases, even days, to be able to verify whether this is coming from a genuine source, whether it is true or it is not true. So often, you have a lot of people consuming information that is not correct. In fact, I've had instances with colleagues, educated ones, to the highest level that you can think, come to ask you questions that, is this true? I heard this here. Is this true? I read this thing here. Is it true? And if for people at that level who cannot even determine which information is true or not, then you can imagine, I don't want to use ordinary people on the streets, but for citizens in general going about their everyday activities who do not have access to tools that they can use to determine whether certain information is true or not or otherwise. It's really worrying. It's really worrying. And the rate at which this comes out. So for me, I think that going forward, the security apparatus, the Ministry of, I've seen the Minister for Communications, Digital Technology and Innovations intimate that they are going to go hard on, because most of these emanate from social media.
That's true.
You have people just create stories, put them, embed them in links that cannot, links that are not genuine. Some put them on infographics and then circulate them with names of maybe media houses that are credible for, and then they issue them around. And so I think government machinery, especially the ministry working in tandem with national security and other agencies responsible for this, must really come together and see how we can't eliminate all. In fact, in bigger democracies, advanced democracies, they're also battling with some of these challenges.
Right.
But there must be a level to what we are seeing. And now it's more like people accuse people of certain things, and then the burden is on those that have been accused to come and deny or affirm, which I mean, it should not be the case.
Yeah.
If you have proof that somebody is doing something that is wrong or right, you must bring that proof and let's examine it. And I think that some people are in a hurry to become the next Honorable Samuel Okujotoa Blackwell and the next Sami Jemfi, especially in the political space. But this is not how they did it. They did it hard facts. They did it with documents, so that they bring proof of documentation that this and this, that according to this source, so that documents we can all look at, we can all attest to, and then we can argue on. Yet people don't have this. They come and put information up, and then people start jumping on that information that this person have done this person. How do we even determine if somebody have changed his office furniture and things when there's no budget to it? You understand?
Yeah.
If the budget comes, we are able to tell goods and services. For example, PMMC, why did your goods and services aspect of your budget, if we do the comparative analysis from 2024, this is how much it cost your office in terms of goods and services. In 2025, you are estimating that you are going to spend this. What is accounting for the difference? And these are the things. I mean, in building a democracy, and a democracy that people must have their things, we must be careful. So let me use this medium to appeal to young people, because most of things are done by some of us who are who want to impress certain people in certain quarters just to achieve some parochial interest. No, that is not how to build a society. If this society we are in today, then we are the ones that are going to suffer. I'm not married yet. I don't have children. What about other young people? For some of the old folks, they've lived life in Omabobra. We are now coming up. If our society disintegrates, that will lose. And we become people. And we must protect our democracy. We must protect our society by ensuring that the conversations we participate in, the information we put out there, are credible information, are conversations that can shape our future, and not be involved in these things. But as I said, we'll call on the security apparatus, those responsible for some of these things, to help stamp some of them out the barest minimum. We must find some people. Once we are able to find some people and prosecute them to logical conclusion, it will deter others. But until then, because we are in this country, things happen and people say, oh, it's normal. Look at recent Oliver Bakavamo had to go to Parliament of Ghana only for it to come out that the certain information that Parliament of Ghana based its call on him, quote unquote, was fake news coming from a source where we could not trace until today. Parliament has not said anything about it. By now, in other jurisdictions, the security apparatus would have been set in motion. They would have found the culprit where those texts originated from and brought the person to book. But we've allowed it to go, because if that is at the national level, you've gone all the way to Parliament, and they say this is misinformation. And they've brought links and people that were connected to sharing some of these things, prominent people. In fact, some of the members of the committee of the committee on appointments of the Parliament of Ghana alluded to some of those statements. Where did that statement come from? How did it get to their attention? Do you get the point I'm making? Where did it first originate? Can we do anything and bring the people to book? And it serves as a deterrent. But no, it's what Oliver had to apologize. And now it has gone. It's been weeks. It's getting to a month. And nothing about it. So the issue of misinformation, my brother, misinformation, disinformation, whatever it is dangerous to our society. And we must find a way to eliminate much of it as we go along in building this democracy.
Right. So there's been, I agree with whatever you're saying. There's been a lot of, we've seen a lot of new media houses that we don't, I'm not sure that they are registered under any laws in Ghana, but they just go ahead and they put out information and all of that. And sometimes it is worrying. Yesterday, I saw one particular one from, I don't want to mention the name of and even the standards with which they are reporting the news, if you look at some of the weddings and some of the adjectives being used to describe certain people, you wonder where are journalistic standards? Where are the ethics in journalism? Because everybody just wakes up.
It brings to question. Sometimes I ask, where is the National Media Commission?
Exactly.
Where's the Ghana
NMC?
Where's the Ghana Broadcasting Private Broadcasters Association or something?
Yeah.
Where are all the stakeholders in this? Where are they? And you know how people do when they want to share some of these things. You are there and somebody will send it and then will ask you, how true is this?
Yeah.
And you know, usually the political class, they'll put it on their status and they'll be like, hey, if this is true there, then it's something.
Yeah.
You know, like
they are promoting it.
Yes, trying to feign ignorance of the fact that what they are pushing there is not true. It's false, and yet they pretend that they don't know it is false, so they are just asking questions. So when you put them that, Master, you know what you are sharing, it's false. They say, oh, they don't know. They just want to. They saw it and they want to be sure. You know, some of these things. And by our two major political parties, they cannot. I mean, none of them can feign ignorance of this. Some of these things are cooked from their bedrooms. You know.
Yeah.
And if we don't sit around the table as a country and say enough with this, and I say we are behind. Oh, we are behind in this our democratic experiment, not a democratic experiment, but we are behind in terms of development for our people. Young people are frustrated. Young people have no opportunities. Young people have no access to standard, barest minimum, good standard living. No. And what we care about is disinformation and misinformation. Is that what we care about as a society, as a political class, as a country that we say we want to put for the future so that young people that are coming can find hope, can have aspiration in this nation? Is that what we want to do? So, you know, it's a difficult thing,
right.
But I think that, like I say, it's very dangerous because maybe now nothing has happened, but I tell people every time, the small conflict studies that I did for a semester, the small literature I read on conflict, I know in some countries, and it is very sad that we always have to mention, but in Rwanda, it was just some of these small things on radio that degenerated. You understand?
Yeah.
And in fact, now politicians are bolding. They sit on radio and they exaggerate issues. And you ask yourself, so what do you achieve with some of these exaggerations and sensationalism on radio and TV? You get it?
Yeah.
And all in with the aim of trying to get people emotional and beat up so that people can think in a certain direction.
Yeah.
And this is coming, people will refuse to think. And they will only go and arm themselves.
Yeah.
And that is when maybe we will all have ourselves to blame. And I pray that we don't get there.
Yeah, exactly. We hope that we don't get there. And I hope that the communications minister will be able to do something about it, just like he has mentioned. He's raised concerns about some of these things during his vetting. So we hope that he will do something about it. Maybe while we try to wrap up, let's stay a bit on the communications ministry. Now, he is the minister. The Honorable Sam George has inaugurated the interagency Data Pricing Committee. People have called it something that cannot work, because these are private partners that we are working with, and they have put out their prices, and so there's no way this thing is going to, this committee is going to achieve any results. What are your thoughts, Abel?
Yeah, we when I say we, most of us, young people in the cities, not only young people, old folks, everybody in the social media space and to data. We've complained several times about the cost of data in Ghana. In fact, others have gone ahead to do analysis of this, compare it to the sub-region, country by country, the countries with the most expensive data. In fact, there is data on the sub-Saharan Africa, and then comparative to even other advanced jurisdictions and things. And one of our problems is not even just the cost of data. Aside the cost of data, you also look at the services that you are even using. Data skyrocketing, yet you even buy the data, and you can't even have good internet service, good network, So all these things compound the issues that we are confronted with as a country. Do I think that data can reduce? It all depends. To be very honest, I've not done much reading around it. I've not studied the area much. But what I've heard from other people is that if you look at some of the build-up into what the mobile networks operators, the MNOs, use as a basis for charging data, we can do something about it. And those build-ups into the data charges, something is done about it, then it can result in some significant reduction in price of data. So I think that we must look around. It's just like the issue of the petroleum, where that build-ups that accumulates the cost of petroleum products. That is what is happening within the data and broadband services. So the policy is right. They should sit down, technical team, look at it. What government rules? What are government services and charges that goes to these MNOs that is contributing to the increase in prices? What can government do? If we look at some of government tax bills that is contributing to this, is this something we can work on? Is this something that government can take a critical look at and say, okay, we can drop some of the tax handles, or we can at least reduce some of them, so that, see, the internet is the future. Internet is the future. People are talking about AI. Of course, AI is also part of the internet. If you don't have access to the internet, if your nation, your citizens don't have access to the internet, we are literally behind.
Right.
In fact, we are already behind. So it's going to be double behind, you see. And cost of data means that people cannot, and like we are talking about misinformation and all these things, people need access to the internet to sometimes be able to verify some of these things. And if they cannot afford data at will to go online, not only study, but sometimes to verify some of these things, then what are we doing for ourselves as a nation? So I strongly support the committee set up, and it is my hope that at the end of the day, there will be some significant conclusion that will go into at least seeing some reductions in the cost of data, so that data can be made more affordable. In fact, for students who are in universities, who are in secondary schools, even in junior high schools, how your parents, second school, they give them something small to go to school. They want to buy data and maybe run a quick research or something.
Yeah.
They can't afford to do it. And it's worrying for me personally. So it's a good move, and I hope that it will. And subsequently, I'll be into it. Maybe we can have the conversation around that particular subject on another occasion. But I think the African Center for Digital Transformation have been studies in that area. African Center for Digital Transformation, led by Kusi Ahine, good friend of mine.
Yeah,
they've been a lot of studies in that area, and I'll be hooking myself on some of their pieces and then study around the area. Subsequently, we can talk about this into more detail. It's an area of great concern, and I'm looking forward to seeing some significant reduction in cost of data.
Right. We all hope that they'll be able to really do something about it, because it's a major problem. It's a major issue that a lot of people are dealing with. Abel, we want to say thank you to you very much for this morning. Thank you very much for making time to.
Thank you, and once again, a good morning, very good morning to our Kerry citizens.
Right, thank you very much, Abel. So that was Abel and Soliwin Amodiok. He helped me break down the headlines. He's a policy enthusiast, and he does this. He's in the space. So, exactly 7 o'clock here on the Business Breakfast on Zed, and a time for business news with Samuela Entry. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio. It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Hello and welcome to the business news on the Business Breakfast on Zed. I am Samuela Entry. Coming up, new GIPC CEO to establish after desk, strengthen investment drive. Also, MTN Ghana's blood donation initiative sees strong public participation in Ashanti region. The IMG elect Michael Abiu as new president, and importers abandon Nigerian port and turn to Ghana and Togo amid rising charges. So this is what we'll be having for business news on Business Breakfast on Zed. The details. The newly appointed Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, Mr. Simon Maje, has met with management and staff to familiarize himself with the team and share his vision for the organization. Mr. Maje, who received a warm welcome from the center, acknowledged the team's remarkable effort over the years in enhancing its services, but emphasized that more work remains to be done. First on his list is the goal of strengthening collaboration with key ministries and government agencies to create a more cohesive approach to attracting foreign direct investment into the country. By fostering stronger partnerships, he aims to streamline processes, align national development priorities with investor interest, and ultimately drive sustainable economic growth. He also outlined plans to map investment opportunities in every district across the country to effectively market them to prospective investors during the center's sensitization tours. As part of this strategy, he aims to have regional directors in all 16 regions to oversee the project. In other news, MTN Ghana Foundation on Friday, 14th of February, held its annual Save a Life blood donation campaign, aiming to collect 6,110 units of blood to support the National Blood Service and regional hospitals. Since its inception in 2011, the initiative has contributed over 29,000 units to address blood shortages nationwide. The donation exercise took place across all 16 regions, with the Ashanti region hosting activities at Bonre, KNUST and Asanteman Senior High School in partnership with the Blood Bank Unit of the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital. MTN Senior Manager General Trade Northern Ghana, Simon Amo, reaffirmed the company's commitment to healthcare and encouraged the public to mark Valentine's Day by donating blood to save lives. He pledged the company's commitment to sustaining the initiative, emphasizing that it aligns with the health pillar of the MTN Ghana Foundation. The Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana (CIMG) has announced a newly elected governing council to steer the affairs of the institute for a 2-year period. The announcement comes after a smooth and transparent voting process supervised by officials of the Electoral Commission took place on Thursday, 13 February 2025 at the Coconut Grove Hotel in Accra. At the end of the elections, Michael Abu, the lead consultant and CEO of MGA Consulting Limited, was elected national president, with Amagifti Amoa, a seasoned marketing professional, as the national vice president-elect. The other elected national executives are National Secretary-elect Edwin Lecha Kekbedo and National Treasurer-elect Francis Mensah Sasraku. Additionally, the following individuals have been elected as council members: Hilda Piasa, Norenda Debra, and Kwesi Tre. The announcement was met with enthusiasm from members of the marketing community, with many congratulating the newly elected officials. The marketing body has extended its appreciation to all candidates who participated in the election and to the voters for their active engagement and dedication to shaping the future of marketing in Ghana. The new executives are expected to assume their roles in the coming weeks. As the institute moves forward, all eyes will be on the fresh leadership as they work to advance the goals of CIMG and strengthen its influence in the marketing sector, both locally and internationally. Importers seeking to send goods to Nigeria are increasingly turning to other West African nations to evade excessive port charges. In less than a month, multiple government agencies, terminal operators, and shipping companies at Nigerian ports have raised their fees by nearly 100%, making cargo clearance unaffordable for many businesses. The Lagos port in particular has seen a sharp decline in activity, undermining Nigeria's ease of doing business agenda. The Guardian Nigeria reports that clearing costs across Nigerian ports have surged, with the price of processing a 40-foot container rising from 18 to 20 million naira to 26 million naira, while a 20-foot container has nearly doubled from 10.5 million naira to 20 million naira. As a result, Nigerian ports are rapidly losing their competitive edge, forcing importers to shift to Ghana, Togo, and Benin Republic, jeopardizing Nigeria's historic role as the primary hub for West African-bound cargo. According to Nigerian Port Authority Managing Director Dr. Abubakar Danchoho, the country's ports now handle fewer than 2 million 20-foot equivalent units, despite being the intended destination for 70% of the region's trade. The Nigerian Port Authority recently announced the implementation of a 15% increase in port charges, marking its first tariff adjustment since 1993. This move, led by Managing Director Dr. Abubakar Danchoho, aims to enhance competitiveness and drive infrastructural development, aligning MPA's facilities with global standards. And that'll be all for business news on Business Breakfast on Zed. Let's take a recap of our headlines. New GIPC CEO to establish after desk, strengthen investment drive. And also, MTN Ghana's blood donation initiative sees strong public participation in Ashanti region. The CIMG elect Michael Abu as new president. And importers abandon Nigerian port, tend to Ghana and Togo amid rising charges. You can visit www.zmultimedia.com for more. You can also visit our social media handles ZFMGH on Instagram, Facebook and X, and Z Multimedia on TikTok and YouTube. I am Samuela Aintree. Thanks for listening. Up next is Sports Flash with Lukeman Evergreen Women. Stay tuned.
Zed 101.9 FM.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I won't give in.
Lurcher, and Business Radio.
I see you, baby. This is how I'm so sure. If you did it before, I need to hear y'all sing it loud. You do it again. I need to hear y'all sing it loud. Sing God right now. Yeah, Orlando. Sing God back then. If you did it before, bounce, bounce, bounce. You do it again. Yeah. Sing God right now. Hey, he is there. Sing God back then. Hey, yes, please be. Please be.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
You've been through worse. You didn't come this far just to lose. You did. But we gonna have a good time tonight. You ready? You lost. God did.
101.9 FM.
It's your lifestyle, lurcher, and business radio.
101.9 FM.
It's your lifestyle, lurcher, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
The stage is set for something special.
It is time to go racing.
Go Nacho! Oh wow! Oh wow! LeBron James with no regard for human life. You couldn't write a script like this.
Here's Metzer. This is positive. Williams.
Kudus! The Korean joy did not last for long.
Oh my gosh, Kudus.
Set back for Partey. Oh yes! Oh yes! Oh yes! Thomas Partey.
Hello, good morning. It's time for Sports Flash on Business Breakfast on Zed. My name is Lukman Evergreen Moment. It was an all-action packed weekend in the world of sports. There were games in Europe's top 5 leagues. Now, Manchester United fans are not seeing any difference since Amorim took over as the manager of the club. Meanwhile, in Ghana, it was a teary Sunday in Kumasi as football pays respect to Nana Pole. And in the United States, it was an all-star weekend in the NBA. All right, we begin with local football news. And Kumasi Asante Kotoko players and management members gathered in Kumasi to pay their respects to the late Francis Yao Frimpong, popularly known as Nana Pole, at his 1-week observation. Now, Pole tragically lost his life after being stabbed during Kotoko's matchday 19 encounter against Nswatriman FC in Nswatri 2 weeks ago. Among those in attendance were Kotoko's Interim Management Committee Chairman Nana Apenkra, Technical Director of the club Kwesi Apia, the backroom staff, and several players, all showing solidarity to the bereaved family. Meanwhile, the Ghana Football Association will engage Accra House of Folk and Kumasi Asante Kotoko today to discuss outstanding proposals submitted by the two clubs to the association. The Ghana Football Association has already addressed all safety and security related concerns raised in the proposals through the newly introduced Enhanced Match Day Safety and Security Protocol 2025. However, other proposals, including the Autonomous League, are yet to be acted upon by the Ghana Football Association. Away from the Ghana Football Association to the female senior national football team, the Black Queens of Ghana, their new head coach, Kim Bielka Green, has named his first squad for the training camp in Morocco, where the team will play a training match and an international friendly against the Atlas Lionesses of Morocco. The team dominated by players who featured prominently during Nora Hoptel's time as head coach, will be traveling with their new manager. Now, the Black Queens have already left Accra for Rabat for the international friendly. Now, Accra Lions CEO Nana Obri-Yeboah has identified poor officiating as the main driver of hooliganism in Ghana football. Now, the 2023-2024 Ghana Premier League runners-up were recently sanctioned by the Ghana Football Association after criticizing referee Maxwell Hansen for poor officiating in their defeat to Dreams FC. While acknowledging the importance of the FA's newly introduced safety measures, Obri-Yeboah believes improving officiating is key to addressing hooliganism.
There are issues about officiating, issues about broadcast rights, issues about sponsorship, scheduling of matches, club licensing issues that they've kept quiet about. So when I look at the communique, what they want, yes, some is very pertinent for the game at this moment. Talking about safety, I agree with them. In this moment, safety is very key. But you look at it, they are talking about representation on the ESCO. I think they've also lost it a bit. Let's focus on the now, which is ensuring the safety at grounds. Let's look at officiating, which is contributing to this hooliganism.
Well, that was the Chief Executive Officer of Accra Lions, Nana Obri-Yeboah. Now, Mediama head coach Ibrahim Tanko, who happens to be a former coach of Accra Lions, has emphasized the need for a change in mentality regarding football in Ghana, urging fans and clubs to move away from the notion that home teams must win at all costs. Now, his call comes in the wake of the tragic death of Kumasi Asante Kotoko supporter Nana Poli at the Nana Chronomancer Park in Nswatwe.
It's like took the football game like it's like life and death. I don't understand. Football is a sport that you can win, you can lose, you can draw. But I don't know, some venue, if you go to their away games, they want to win by all means. Even if their team are good or they are playing good, they want to win by all means. So I think the education must be more from the clubs.
Of course, there needs to be some serious education about how fans conduct themselves at match centers. Now, NS Nyama and was among the scorers when Olympique Lyonnais overcame Montpellier in the French League on Sunday. And in England, Kamaldeen Suleimana was also on target for Southampton against AFC Bournemouth. Talking about the English Premier League, Liverpool restored their 7-point lead at the top of the table with a 2-1 victory over Wolverhampton Wanderers 24 hours after title rivals Arsenal had beaten Leicester City by 2-0, thanks to a late Mikel Merino brace. Now, the Spanish midfielder, who was deployed as a striker, dedicated the brace to his wife as her Valentine's Day gift.
Well, he told me I was going to come in as a striker. Actually, this morning we were talking about it a little bit with one of the assistants. Honestly, it was a surprise because it's the first time in my career that I play in that position. But yeah, he told me to go as a striker, to make sure I go with my strength. I think I showed it, and yeah, luckily I could help the team with 2 goals. And it's the first time I scored a brace coming off the bench as a striker. But I think it's a good day to score because I forgot to give my wife some Valentine's Day, so this goes to her. I think she will appreciate this more than a rose or some chocolate.
Oh, that was a romantic Mikel Merino for Arsenal there. Still in the Premier League on Friday, Chelsea were hammered 3-0 by Brighton, while Egypt winger Omar Mahmoud scored a hat-trick as Manchester City defeated Newcastle United by 4-0 at the Etihad. Here is Pep Guardiola.
That this season is just to survive. We will survive, but hopefully this game can give us this boost to trust in ourselves, that we were able to do, still we are able to do. And for the rest of the season, it's massively important.
So that was Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola speaking after their 4-0 win over Newcastle United. Meanwhile, the story is different for his opposite number in Manchester. United boss Ruben Amorim says the job is so hard after a defeat to Tottenham left the team 15th in the Premier League. Now, the Portuguese coach oversaw an 8 loss in 12 league games as James Maddison's 13th minute goal gave Spurs victory.
In this moment is more than that. The idea, the system in this moment is like survive, is to think in the small things, to improve the small things from this game for the next game, and not even look at the table, the schedule, nothing of that. Of course I have to, because we will have a lot of games. We have 3 competitions with a small squad in the moment. That part is my part, but the players, everyone in character, just focus on the next game, the next training, and that is our goal.
Well, that was Man United manager Ruben Amorim. Away from the English Premier League to the Spanish La Liga, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid dropped points in their games against Osasuna and Celta Vigo respectively, and then Barcelona, who face Rayo Vallecano later tonight, the chance to close the gap at the top of the La Liga table. And in Italy, Inter Milan failed to overtake Napoli at the top of the table after suffering a 1-0 defeat to Juventus on Saturday. Napoli were held to a 2-2 draw by Lazio, while AC Milan defeated Hellas Verona by a goal to 0. And in Germany, Bayern Munich maintained their 8-point lead at the top of the table after a goalless draw with champions Bayern Leverkusen. And to some tennis news, Daniel Medvedev says he hopes Yannick Sinner's doping ban will create a precedent so that other players can reach similar settlements with anti-doping authorities in future. Now, Yannick Sinner has been banned for 3 months after testing positive for a banned substance. Britain's Emma Raducanu has ended her losing run with straight sets victory over Greece's Maria Sakkari in the first round of the Dubai Open Championship. Now, finally, to some NBA news. Well, there were no NBA games, but then it was the All-Star weekend, and Team Chuck faced Team Shaq. Team Shaq was made up of OGs, including Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and LeBron James. But then LeBron James didn't play. At the end of the day, Team Shaq won by 41 points over Team Chuck's Global Stars by 25 points. That will be all for sports this morning. My name is Lukman Evergreen Moment. Business Breakfast on Zed continues with Trebi Hammond.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
Your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
This how we do on the East Coast. Just pick them up and put them down.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
Ancient of days, rock of ages, when it's a butanya meno, once it's Santa. Ancient of days, rock of ages, you are the God who was and is to come.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Rock of ages, you are the God. Ancient of days, rock of ages, you are the God who was and is to come. God in me, creator and the source, and knowing me, and then watching and the down. Ancients of days, Lord, our praise and help, our help in ages past. Creator and the source, and knowing me, and then watching and it down. Ancients of days, Lord, our praise and help, our help in ages past. Ancient of days, rock of ages, when it's a time, once a Sada. Ancient of days, rock of ages, you are the God who was and is to come.
Thank you very much for staying with me here on the Business Breakfast on Zed. The song in the background is Titibo Time by Ajoa Enchiwa. You may want to check that out. Well, of course, now time for Business Brief. And today I get to share something very important with you. Stay with me.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Well, of course, this is Business Brief here on the Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM. And today I'm talking to you about how businesses can successfully venture into ecotourism. Now, today is the Global Tourism Resilience Day. It is a day that is set aside to, as it were, promote the resilience of tourism. And one of the very key areas of focus is ecotourism. And it is one of the areas a lot of people have not so much focused on. But today I'm going to talk to you about that, just so that you can understand what exactly it is about and how businesses can successfully transition into ecotourism. Now, ecotourism is one of the fastest growing sectors in the global travel industry. Travelers are becoming more conscious of their environmental impact and prefer destinations that promote sustainability. Because, I mean, there's been a lot of conversations around green transition and what have you. So lots of businesses are now more focused on how they can, and I mean, more travelers or more people are more focused on sustainability generally. And travelers are becoming more conscious of their environmental impact. And they prefer destinations that promote sustainability. Now, this particular shift has created opportunities for businesses to invest in eco-friendly tourism ventures that are both profitable and environmentally responsible. Now, one of the businesses that successfully transitioned into ecotourism is La Parios Eco Lodge. La Parios Eco Lodge. It's in Costa Rica. And I'm going to share their story this morning. Now, La Parios started as a traditional hotel, but it later repositioned itself as an eco lodge focused on conservation and community involvement. And it is located in Costa Rica's Osa Peninsula, an area rich in biodiversity. And the lodge now attracts tourists looking for immersive nature-based experiences. Now, what were the steps they took in transitioning from the traditional hotel business into an eco-tourism or eco-lodge, basically? Now, first of all, they tried to put together sustainable infrastructure. Instead of large concrete buildings, they built cabins using locally sourced materials that blend into the natural environment. And that was the very first thing that they did. Now, they also switched to solar power and rainwater harvesting to reduce their carbon footprint. And that is one of the things that is very, very important. A lot of people are switching to solar power. And so if you're looking to transition your business from the regular mainstream business into something more eco-friendly, then you might want to be looking at switching to solar power and rainwater harvesting so that it can reduce your carbon footprints. Now, another thing that they did was that they focused on conservation-based tourism. Visitors pay to engage in activities like reforestation, wildlife conservation, and eco-friendly tours instead of just sightseeing. So unlike what it was initially, now people pay, and when they come, they focus on reforestation. So planting trees instead of falling trees or just sightseeing. Exactly. So that is what they focus on: wildlife conservation and eco-friendly tours. These are the things that they focus on now. Another thing that they did was that they engaged a local community in the whole process. So the business provides job to locals and supports local farmers by sourcing food and materials from the community. They decided to stick to the community and they started to source food and materials from the community. They also went ahead to secure an eco certification. They obtained a sustainable tourism certification to attract environmentally conscious travelers. As I said initially, a lot of people are focused on eco-friendly or eco-tourism these days. And so if you're a business that is looking to transition into something eco-friendly, then that is actually a very good thing to focus on. So that is what they did. They secured a certificate just so that they can attract environmentally conscious travelers. Now, also, what was their business impact and profitability? They got an increase in customer loyalty because now eco-conscious travelers are willing to pay premium prices for sustainable tourism. And so they increase their customer loyalty. They reduce their operational costs through energy efficient infrastructure and local sourcing, like I mentioned earlier. They also gained a positive brand reputation, and that led to a lot of international partnerships and recognition. And so that is something you might want to pay attention to. What are the lessons we can pick from them, or as a business that is looking to enter in ecotourism? What are some of the things that you can learn from them? One of them is that you need to find a niche for yourself. Identify a unique ecotourism opportunity in your area, whether it is wildlife conservation, marine ecotourism, or cultural ecotourism. As a business, you might want to find a particular niche and focus on that. Now, in Ghana here, there are a few ecotourism sites or eco lodges around. I don't want to mention their names, but there are a few of them around. The space is actually very open to more investments and all of that. Now, another lesson is to invest in sustainability. Use eco-friendly materials. These days, that is where the world is headed. Reduce waste and also explore renewable energy sources. Explore renewable energy sources as well. Now, another thing you have to do, or you can do, or another lesson you can pick from them is that you have to engage the local community. Focus on hiring locals and sourcing sourcing locals for your business. And that strengthens your business while also benefiting the community. So don't go beyond the community. Wherever you find yourself, make sure that you focus on them, hire people from there, and source locally. Another thing is to get certified. One lesson we can learn from the organization that is Lapa Rios Eco Lodge is also to get certified. They got certified, and that actually played out very well. Now, ecotourism certificates help attract environmentally conscious travelers and also build trust. And so once you're able to secure that, you are good to go. The very final lesson we can pick from that is to leverage digital marketing. Use storytelling, social media, and travel platforms to showcase your sustainability efforts and attract global tourists. As I said earlier, that is a space that a lot of people are paying attention to now, and so you may want to look into that. Now, why is ecotourism a smart business move? Why is ecotourism a smart business move? Now, ecotourism is not just about protecting the environment. It's also about profitable and sustainable. It's also a profitable and sustainable business model you may want to look at. Now, as the world moves towards greener travel, businesses that invest in ecotourism can tap into a growing market while making a positive impact. So how can businesses in Ghana take advantage of ecotourism opportunities? That is what we'll be talking about when we get to our roundtable discussion this morning. This will be all for Business Brief. I hope that you've gained something valuable for yourself and for your business. So thank you very much for staying with me. Up next is Transport Today, and Solomon Tetenate is joining me in studio to bring us all the traffic updates and also the flight schedule. Stay tuned.
This is the pre-boarding announcement for flight 3728.
Ignition sequence. 2, 1, 0. All engines running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Well, thank you very much for staying with me this morning on the Business Breakfast on Zed. It's time for Transport Today. Solomon Tetenate is here to bring us all of that. Solo, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. What about you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well myself.
And how was the weekend?
I had some bad headache from Saturday.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I didn't really see the weekend. I didn't really enjoy the weekend like that.
But you enjoyed the Valentine?
No, unfortunately, I'm not a Valentine person. So
okay, all right, that's fine.
Maybe you did.
No.
So why you?
Oh yes, I did very well.
Right.
Right after work, I just bought myself something and then.
So you
but, I didn't go out. I just.
So you celebrated the birthday
in the house.
But in the house.
Yes.
All right, that's interesting. Tell us what are the flight schedules for today?
All right, so I'm taking you through the flight schedules for today, and that is Passion Air and then Africa World Airlines. I'm starting with Passion Air. Accra to Kumasi Passion Air, we have 6 flights available today. And first flight takes off from Accra 6:20 a.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 7 a.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 7:30 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 8:10 a.m. Second flight takes off from Accra 8:50 a.m. and then gets to Kumasi at 9:30 a.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 10 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 10:40 a.m. Third flight takes off 11:20 a.m. in Accra and then arrives in Kumasi at 12 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 12:30 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 1:10 p.m. Fourth flight takes off from Accra 1:50 p.m. and then gets to Kumasi at 2:30 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 3 p.m. and gets to Accra at 3:40 p.m. Fifth flight takes off from Accra at 4:20 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 5 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 5:30 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 6:10 p.m. and then the last flight for Passion Air Accra to Kumasi takes off from Accra 7:40 p.m. and then gets to Kumasi at 8:30 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 8:50 p.m. and then arrives in Accra at 9:40 p.m. So that is Accra to Kumasi Passion Air. Accra to Kumasi Passion Air. Accra to Takrade Passion Air. We have 2 flights available today. Accra to Takrade Passion Air. First flight takes off 6:20 a.m. in Accra and then arrives in Takrade at 7:10 a.m. and then takes off from Takrade at 7:40 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 8:30 a.m. Second flight takes off from Accra 4:20 p.m. and then gets to Takrade at 5:10 p.m. and then takes off from Takrade at 5:40 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 6:30 p.m. So that is Passion Air Accra to Takrade. Passion Air Accra to Takrade. Accra to Sunyane, we have only 1 flight available today, and it takes off from Accra 9:10 a.m. and then gets to Sunyane at 10:10 a.m. So the flight uses 1 hour to get to Sunyane, and then takes off from Sunyane 10:40 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 11:40 a.m. Right. Accra to Wa Passion Air. We have 1 flight available today, and then it takes off from Accra 9:50 a.m. and then gets to Wa at 11:30 a.m.
Right.
and then takes off from Wa 12 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 1:40 p.m. So that is all for Passion Air. Let's look at Accra to Tamale Passion Air. Accra to Tamale Passion Air. We have 3 flights available today. First flight takes off 6 a.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 7:20 a.m. and then takes off from Tamale at 7:50 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 9:10 a.m. Second flight takes off from Accra 12:20 p.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 1:40 p.m. and then takes off from Tamale at 2:10 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 3:30 p.m. Third flight takes off 4 p.m. in Accra and then arrives in Tamale at 5:20 p.m. and then takes off from Tamale at 5:50 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 7:10 p.m. So that is all for Passion Air Accra to Tamale, Accra to Wa, Accra to Sunyane, Accra to Takrade, and then Accra to Kumasi. Let's look at Africa World Airlines. We have 7 flights available today. From Accra, and then arrives in Kumasi at 7 a.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 7:30 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 8:10 a.m. Second flight takes off from Accra 8:40 a.m. and then gets to Kumasi at 9:20 a.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 9:50 a.m. and then arrives in Accra at 10:30 a.m. Third flight takes off from Accra 9:40 a.m. and then gets to Kumasi at 10:20 a.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 10:50 a.m. and arrives in Accra at 11:30 a.m. Fourth flight takes off 12 p.m. from Accra and then arrives in Kumasi at 12:40 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 1:10 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 1:50 p.m. Fifth flight takes off from Accra 2:10 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 2:50 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 3:20 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 4 p.m. Sixth flight takes off 4:30 p.m. in Accra and then arrives in Kumasi at 5:10 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 5:40 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 6:20 p.m. And then the last flight for Africa World Airlines, Accra to Kumasi, takes off from Accra 7 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 7:40 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 8:10 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 8:50 p.m. So that is Accra to Kumasi. Accra to Takrade, Africa World Airlines. We have 2 flights available today. First flight takes off from Accra 7:10 a.m. and then gets to Takrade at 7:50 a.m.
Right.
And then takes off from Takrade at 8:20 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 9 a.m. Second flight takes off from Accra 4:30 p.m. and then arrives in Takrade at 5:10 p.m. and then takes off from Takrade at 5:40 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 6:20 p.m. Accra to Tamale, Africa World Airlines. We have 4 flights available today, Accra to Tamale. First flight takes off from Accra 6:30 a.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 7:30 a.m. and then takes off from Tamale at 8 a.m. and gets to Accra at 9 a.m. Second flight takes off from Accra 9:30 a.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 10:30 a.m. and then takes off from Tamale at 11 a.m. and then gets to Accra at 12 p.m. Third flight takes off from Accra 12:30 p.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 1:30 p.m. and then takes off from Tamale at 2 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 3 p.m.
Right.
Last flight for Africa World Airlines, Accra to Tamale, takes off from Accra 3:30 p.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 4:30 p.m. and then takes off from Tamale at 5 p.m. and then gets to Accra at 6 p.m.
Right.
So that is all for the flight schedules today. Let's look at the traffic situation in town.
Sure.
Yes. So Teshi to Labadi. When you are from Teshi to Labadi, when you get to Teshi Mobile, there is traffic over there. That is from Canvas Frames to Polo Beach Club.
Okay.
There is massive traffic over there as we speak. And also Temamoto Way from Victory Bible Church International all the way to Manette Motorway bus stop. There's also traffic, massive traffic over there as we speak, so we should take note of that.
Right.
And then Atomic to UPSA Junction, There's also traffic over there at the moment. So rolling circle will be the alternative for you when you're coming from Medina or you're coming from Hacho. When you get to Atomic, use the rolling circle route and then pass through Baolishi and then join Ashiashi. That would be best for you to skip the traffic over there. And then West Coast Mall to Malam Junction, there's traffic, massive traffic when you're coming from West Coast Mall all the way to Malam Junction. There's traffic over there. We need to take note of that. And also Paloma to Circle. There's also traffic over there that we need to take note of that. So that is the traffic situation in town as we speak. Brussels Airlines marks century of Belgium air service to Africa. So Brussels Airlines, they are celebrating their 100 years of service to Africa. And so the Belgium national carrier Brussels Airlines is celebrating 100 years of flights between Belgium and Africa. The Belgium Africa service started with flights to the Belgian Congo, that is now the Democratic Republic of Congo, in 1925. So that was their first flight to Africa as an airline, that's Brussels Airlines, and that was 1925. And today, Brussels Airlines serves 18 destinations across the continent. So it means that they have really evolved and they have really, improved their services. And so let me take you through some of their evolution. The first flight to Africa took off from Harin, Brussels, on February 12, 1925, and then arrived in Leopoldville. This now called Kinshasa. Yeah, so then that was the name given to it after 51 days. So the flight spent 51 days to Kinshasa from Belgium or from the capital city of Belgium. That's Brussels. And then the flight was operated by a Hanley Page W8F aircraft. So with a navigator Edmond Terfree, pilot Leopold Roger, and engineer Jeff DeBroca. So these were the people on board on the flight. That was their first flight to Africa, 1925. And so today marks their 100 years service to Africa. That's Brussels Airlines. So
people have raised concerns about Brussels Airlines.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've seen people raise concerns about the unfair treatment that they experience sometimes. I don't know how true that is, but I've seen a lot of
So speaking to the media, Brussels Airlines CEO, that's Dorothea von Boxberg, said that looking ahead, we will expand I quote him, so looking ahead, we will expand our long-haul fleet with an 11th Airbus A330 starting operations in June, followed by 2 more aircraft in the coming years. This year's additional 10% capacity will strengthen the existence route, while we also explore new destinations as from next year. Also, as we embark on the next century of aviation between Belgium and the African continent, we will continue to invest, innovate, and serve our passengers with our expertise, commitment, and passion. So that is coming from Brussels Airlines CEO. So that is all for transport today. And thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you very much for coming as well, Solomon. We're grateful. Solomon Tetenati is the one who brings us the transport news here on the Business Breakfast every day. So up next is market trends, but we'll take a spot of music. When we return, Emmanuel Boateng, our economic analyst, will join me for us to break down some of the top issues in global markets. Stay tuned. our economic analyst, is going to join me over the phone lines this morning for us to have a conversation around the World Bank Public Finance Review of Ghana in December 2024. Now, Ghana's public finance landscape has experienced significant transformation over the past 2 decades. It's been marked by strong economic growth, rising debt levels, and some critical fiscal challenges. Now, every year, the World Bank releases the Public Finance Review, and Ghana's review was released in December 2024, and we want to try and break it down and understand a few things accordingly. And Emmanuel is over the phone lines. Emmanuel Boateng is over the phone lines to help me do that. Ima, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Raphael. Good morning to everyone, especially our cherished listeners.
Mm-hmm. I hope you're doing very well.
Yes, I'm doing well. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well myself.
Thank you.
Ima, this one, I want us to talk about Ghana's public finance, the World Bank's Public Finance Review of Ghana as of December 2024. I know you know a lot about that. Maybe you can let's start a conversation by giving us an overview of that, and I can ask a few questions.
All right. Thank you so much. So annually, the World Bank releases a public finance review of Ghana, and it presents an analysis of the dynamics, especially focusing on our fiscal policies. Is that okay? The review looks at the importance of our prudent fiscal management, efficient public spending, and our domestic revenue mobilization efforts. It's also, this particular report highlighted some key impacts of global shocks, including the COVID on Ghana's fiscal health, and outlined some key reforms significant to stabilizing the economy. The goal, particularly, is to foster informed dialogue and generate some actionable recommendations for our policymakers, development partners, and every stakeholder to the Ghanaian economy. So, in a nutshell, and that's what this report really is about.
Right. Now, let's go into the details of that a bit more. Now, what were the primary drivers of Ghana's economic growth from, say, 2008 to 2019?
Very well. Thank you so much for this question. So, the primary drivers of our economic growth during the period you've mentioned, and it's important for us to highlight that this was the period of the review. In other words, the review we have focused on that period, 2009 through to 2019.
And I even mentioned that more because, it's in the pre-COVID era, just to provide some context. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, our growth to be by the discovery and production of oil. And I hope you would want to keep an eye on that. The discovery and production of oil. That is very important. Very, very important. The archives, or if you like, our first discovery of onshore oil was in somewhere around 1896, and onshore 1896, offshore 1970. Is that okay? The most significant discovery, however, was in 2007, when oil was found in commercial quantities in the Channel Basin. Is that okay?
Yes.
So, if you want to look at it, exploration and all of that, then it falls within the period we are looking at this morning.
and the period with which the review was centered. So our economic growth during this period was primarily driven by the discovery and production of oil, expansionary fiscal policies, and increased private sector credit. You know, oil production from the Jubilee fields significantly boosted GDP growth. Is that okay? So when we look at our economic growth, we are essentially talking about our GDP growth, with annual growth rates averaging about 6.8%. Is that okay? Now, this growth, however, was accompanied by rising fiscal and external imbalances, which was underscoring the need, therefore, for us to diversify our growth beyond natural resources. Hello?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yes, so starting in 2009, our growth accelerated as a result of oil production. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And I'm saying